Have you ever heard of buying a house that comes with a canal? Not as a promotional gift from the developer, not as a joke in the contract, this is real. And it happens right in Florida, one of the strangest states in America. Imagine this scene: you and your family are touring your dream home. The agent smiles and says, "This one is spacious, full of sunlight, with a nice backyard, and best of all, it comes with its very own canal." You blink and ask, "Wait, you mean the canal behind the garden?" And the answer is, exactly. Buy this house and you'll have full rights to that canal, build a dock, park a boat, even paddle straight out to the ocean. Welcome to Florida, where real estate law has a bizarre twist. Land and canal often come as a pair. In other words, buying a house here isn't just buying walls and a roof, it's buying a ticket straight to the ocean. It sounds like a Hollywood movie plot, but for thousands of Floridians, this is daily life. Entire cities have turned it into their identity. Cape Coral is called the City of Canals. But this story isn't just about luxury and sunshine. With canals attached to properties, there are plenty of awkward and funny situations. Neighbors argue about whose boat is blocking the way. Families grilling barbecue in their backyard suddenly spot an alligator swimming by. Yes, in Florida, canals don't just have boats and fish, they have uninvited guests like gators, eels, and even giant turtles. What makes this story more fascinating is that it didn't start with nature, but with human ambition. In the mid-20th century, during the real estate boom, developers had a wild idea: dig canals to raise land value. A normal lot might cost a few $1,000s, but add a canal leading to the sea and its value triples. Local governments legalized this system, and ever since, land and canal became inseparable. The result? Florida now has a canal network stretching thousands of kilometers. In fact, Cape Coral alone has more canals than Venice and Amsterdam combined. Buying a home here isn't just about square footage inside, it's also about where the canal behind your house leads. But don't jump to the conclusion that this is paradise. With the canal comes a package of problems: taxes, flood risks, and yes, living with gators. So the big question is, why did Florida create such a bizarre law in the first place? How has it shaped the daily lives of residents? And most importantly, if you had the chance, would you dare buy a house whose backyard is literally a canal to the sea? To understand why Florida has houses that come with canals, we first need to look at the geography and culture of the state. Florida is shaped like a long peninsula stretching into the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. With more than 1,300 miles of coastline, water is everywhere: rivers, lagoons, mangroves, swamps, and of course, endless beaches. But Florida is not only defined by its natural water, it is also shaped by the canals people dug. Starting in the 1950s, developers realized that water access dramatically raised property values. A simple piece of land with no canal was just average. But add a canal leading to the sea, and suddenly that land became a golden ticket for buyers who dreamed of owning a boat. In cities like Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and Cape Coral, this idea exploded. Developers didn't just sell homes, they sold a lifestyle, one where your backyard could double as a private marina. Cape Coral is perhaps the most extreme example. Built almost entirely from scratch in the late 1950s, the city was carved into a grid of neighborhoods connected by hundreds of miles of canals. Today, Cape Coral has more than 400 miles of canals, longer than the canals of Venice, Amsterdam, and Stockholm combined. Fort Lauderdale earned the nickname Venice of America for the same reason. But there's a difference: Venice's canals are centuries old, while Florida's were deliberately engineered as part of real estate marketing. In the mid-20th century, Florida was booming with retirees, snowbirds, and tourists. Developers saw an opportunity: why just sell houses, when you could sell the dream of living on the water? So canals became part of the sales pitch: buy this home, and you don't just get a house, you get access to the ocean. Local governments supported it too, passing laws that tied land and water rights together. This meant buyers had legal rights to build docks, keep boats, or even modify their canal frontage. The law turned entire neighborhoods into aquatic suburbs. Driveways were for cars, backyards were for boats. For outsiders, this looked like paradise, sunshine, palm trees, and yachts parked like cars. But for residents, it was more complicated. The canals needed constant dredging, taxes went up, and nature brought its own surprises. Alligators wandered in, hurricanes turned canals into flood zones, and disputes over boat space became neighborhood dramas. Still, Florida's identity became inseparable from its canals. Tourism ads proudly feature shimmering waterways lined with luxury homes. Real estate brochures sell the dream of waterfront living. And social media influencers post viral videos of people stepping from their living room straight onto a yacht. Florida without its canals would just be another sunny state. But with canals, it became a symbol of a unique, slightly crazy version of the American dream. To truly understand Florida's land plus canal law, we need to go back to the 1950s. At that time, Florida was a frontier for ambitious developers. One of the most famous cases was the creation of Cape Coral. In 1957, two brothers, Leonard and Jack Rosen, bought a massive tract of swampy land near the Gulf of Mexico. To most people, it was worthless, mosquito-infested, soggy, and unappealing. But the Rosens had a bold idea: if water made land valuable, then why not create the water themselves? They hired engineers and bulldozers, carving out hundreds of miles of canals. The swamp was transformed into a shimmering grid of waterfront lots. And to make it legal and attractive, the city's planning documents tied every property deed to canal rights. In other words, buying a house meant buying a piece of water access too. The marketing was genius. Advertisements promised, "Live the waterfront lifestyle you deserve." Potential buyers were flown in from northern states, given boat rides through the canals, and told, "This could be your backyard." The pitch worked. Lots that were once nearly worthless suddenly sold for thousands of dollars each. Soon, Cape Coral became a city entirely built around canals. Its success inspired other cities. Fort Lauderdale, already rich in waterways, embraced the idea and promoted itself as the Venice of America. Miami also expanded neighborhoods where every house had canal access. Over time, local governments codified the system. Laws were written so that when you buy a property, the deed clearly states whether you have canal rights. These rights allow homeowners to build docks, park boats, and even dredge parts of the canal for navigation. The law also clarified responsibilities. Homeowners had to pay fees for canal maintenance, and disputes over usage went through local boards. By tying canals directly to property law, Florida created a unique kind of suburbia. Streets were for cars, canals were for boats, and the dream of waterfront living became mainstream. But of course, it wasn't always smooth sailing. Developers sometimes overpromised, selling lots that technically had canals but no real ocean access. Buyers discovered too late that their waterfront dream ended in a dead-end canal. Lawsuits followed, and regulations had to become stricter. Yet despite controversies, the system survived and flourished. Today, Florida is home to some of the most expensive waterfront properties in America. And it all began with the idea that selling land with canals would multiply its value. The law, born in Cape Coral, became part of Florida's DNA, something that still amazes outsiders to this day. Today, Florida's canal law is no longer just a quirky detail, it has shaped the way entire cities live and breathe. When you buy a property in Cape Coral, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami, your contract often specifies, "Lot includes canal access." This single line can make the difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars in price. A simple inland home might cost $300,000, while the same house with canal access can fetch $600,000 or more. Realtors know this very well, and they market canal homes aggressively as waterfront living. For residents, daily life is directly tied to the canals. Many families step out of their back door onto a wooden dock, hop on a boat, and head out to the Gulf or the Atlantic. Some people kayak to work, others fish right behind their homes. Wealthier residents park million-dollar yachts where others might park a car. Tourists are often stunned. Entire neighborhoods look like luxury marinas. But canal life also comes with challenges. First, there is maintenance. Canals silt up and need constant dredging. Homeowners must pay taxes and fees for upkeep, which can run into thousands of dollars a year. Second, there is wildlife. Florida's canals are not just for boats, they are habitats for fish, manatees, and of course, alligators. Stories abound of gators sunbathing on docks or swimming casually through backyards. For newcomers, this can be terrifying. For locals, it's just another Tuesday. Third, there is weather. Hurricanes and heavy rains can turn canals into dangerous flood zones. In 2004, Hurricane Charlie pushed water from Cape Coral's canals into homes, causing massive damage. Insurance premiums skyrocketed after such disasters, making waterfront living even more expensive. Then there are the human dramas. Neighbors argue about boat sizes, whose dock extends too far, or whether jet skis disturb the peace. In some cases, lawsuits have erupted over a few feet of water space. Despite all this, most residents say they would never trade the canal life. The convenience of boating, the beauty of sunsets over the water, and the prestige of waterfront property are irresistible. Visitors feel the same. Airbnb canal homes are among the most sought-after rentals in Florida. TikTok and YouTube videos showcasing Florida backyard canals often go viral. The image of someone stepping from their kitchen straight onto a boat has become a symbol of Florida living. In short, the canal law transformed Florida's real estate and culture. It turned swamps into suburbs, homes into marinas, and daily routines into adventures. It also made Florida one of the most unusual and fascinating housing markets in the world. The canal law in Florida has gone far beyond real estate. It has become part of the state's cultural identity. For many Americans, owning a home is the dream. But in Florida, the dream often includes not just a house, but also a boat, a dock, and a private waterway. This has redefined the so-called American dream. Instead of the classic white picket fence, Floridians imagine sunsets over canals and weekends cruising the Gulf. Tourism has also embraced this image. Brochures show smiling couples dining on their dock, kids fishing in the backyard, and luxury yachts lined up like jewels. Fort Lauderdale proudly calls itself the yacht capital of the world. Every year, it hosts one of the largest boat shows on Earth, attracting millions of visitors and billions in sales. Social media has amplified the fascination. On TikTok, videos of Florida canal homes rack up millions of views. People marvel at backyards that look like marinas and comment, "This is GTA in real life." On YouTube, entire channels are dedicated to canal tours, showing what it's like to live with a boat parked at home. Influencers use canals as backdrops for vlogs, music videos, and even wedding proposals. Economically, the law has created a premium housing market. Waterfront properties consistently rank among the most expensive in Florida. Investors see them as safe bets, since demand for canal access rarely decreases. Even after hurricanes, values eventually rebound, fueled by the allure of waterfront living. The canals have also influenced community culture. Neighborhood parties often take place on docks, with boats tied side by side. Children grow up learning not just to ride bikes but also to paddle kayaks. Retirees spend mornings fishing and afternoons sailing. It creates a rhythm of life deeply tied to the water. The canal law also sparked debates about equality. Some argue it favors the wealthy, since canal homes are out of reach for average families. Others say the canals provide public value, boosting tourism and local economies. Either way, the law has made Florida stand out globally. Few places in the world sell homes bundled with waterways, making it uniquely American. It shows how law, geography, and culture can merge into something both bizarre and beautiful. In the end, Florida's canals are more than trenches filled with water. They are symbols of ambition, lifestyle, and the endless human desire to live closer to nature, while still enjoying luxury. So here we are, of Florida, the only place where buying a house might also mean buying a canal. What started as a clever marketing trick in the 1950s has become a defining feature of the state. Canals turned swamps into suburbs, backyards into marinas, and daily life into something out of a postcard. They brought wealth, tourism, and prestige, but also gators, floods, and neighborly disputes. And that's what makes it so perfectly American, bold, bizarre, and bigger than life. The real question is, would you want to live here? Imagine waking up, brewing your morning coffee, and seeing a heron fly past your dock. Imagine stepping from your living room straight onto a kayak or yacht. But also imagine barbecuing with friends while an alligator drifts lazily behind you. Paradise or nightmare? Dream or inconvenience? That's for you to decide. One thing is certain, Florida's canal law proves that real estate in America is never boring. From selling air rights in New York to selling canals in Florida, the U.S. always finds ways to surprise us. And that's why stories like this keep us fascinated, because they're not fiction, they're real. So, would you invest in a Florida canal home, or would you run far away from gators and hurricanes? Let me know in the comments below, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, because next time, we'll dive into another unbelievable story only in America.